don't fear.
That's deep.
Please forgive him. That's pure arrogance. I judge myself. I'm my own biggest critic.
I don't even know how that sounds.
Hello guys, welcome to another beautiful episode of the Billionaire Habits with Dr. Stephen Akintayo. And today I'm with a mentee of mine here in Dubai. Remember, this is the Dubai Burj Khalifa episodes. We're still going to do in other locations, UK, US, and Nigeria as well. I'm here with Oluwatooni Simbo. I kind of feel that you need to explain the meaning of your name, because we have global audience, we have people watching us all over the world. What's that name? It sounds unique.
Yeah, actually it is, but thanks again, sir, for this opportunity. And Oluwatooni it simply means it's good to have God. Basically, that's just the literal meaning of it's good to have God. It's good to worship God. It's good to serve God in that town.
How about Simbo?
Simbo is a short form of Simibo, like your parents traveled abroad, then
God
they came back safe and sound. And
God guided them
exactly
safely.
Yes.
Well, for those of you watching Africa, every name has a meaning, and sometimes I meet people all over the world. I'm asking them, "What's the meaning of your name?" And they're looking at me like, "What I'm saying is weird." But names are powerful. Names should have meaning. This is a mentee edition of the Billionaire Habits. I have known Oluwatooni for a couple of years. I've known him as a single man. Knew him as a courted man or dating man, or which one do we call it now? And then knew as a married man. And then now see him as a father. Kind of has this fatherly,
yeah, it's
like this fatherly swag, like we're daddy now.
Yes.
How does it feel?
Yeah, I thank God for the growth, and the growth has been so obvious and meaningful. And
do you think it's something positive to be a father?
Yeah.
Mind you, my last guest said he doesn't want to have kids, and almost convinced us we had to quickly end, because I told you, I said, thank God I already have my kids. Else, if I listen to someone like this, I won't want to have children. So what do you think are the good thing about being a father?
To start with, being a good husband, you have to be a good husband to become a good father. And you know what the Bible says, like, he who finds a wife finds a good thing. So it depends on your understanding, what are your beliefs, your core values about marriage. So if you never value marriage, even if you have it, you not enjoy it. True. So I valued one, I wanted one, despite the fact that my parents didn't really have that kind of luxury of being the quote and unquote the happy whatever. So, but then I wanted
one.
Yes. So by the grace of God, what I wanted, God just I wanted it, but I didn't know how it would happen. But my faith was just that I don't want to miss it.
So you feel you married her?
Yes, I don't feel. I know.
By the way, she's in the room. So I can imagine how she feels hearing her husband say, "Yeah, man, I didn't feel I married her."
Yeah.
So for you, what is special about marriage?
A lot. I don't know if I can bring my brain down now, but a lot. But one thing I've really understood about marriage is it is what you call it.
That's deep.
It is what you call it. So
yeah, marriage is what you call it.
As a man, we have more responsibility. If you want to make it work, it's come from you. They just follow. They don't lead. So if you want to make it work, then try and make it work.
Well, we might have some feminists watching this show. So please forgive him. but I think you need to also understand that in Africa, the concept of feminism is not part of our culture. What the part of feminism we believe in Africa is that yes, women are, of course, we believe women are equal to men in terms of rights and all that, but we believe that somebody has to be a leader, and that God has orchestrated that the man. It doesn't mean that because he's the leader is better off or is more important. It just means that someone has to head the home, and the man is. In the workplace, for me, women are paid equally as men in our company. We don't do, I believe, if I have more female leaders in our organization than male. So in that sense, you can say I'm feminist. I don't believe women are inferior to men. But in terms of providing leadership at home,
Yeah, exactly.
even when you look at this, the mental structure, men are more rational. Of course, many women were more rational than men. And the women are more emotionally wired. Of course, there are a few men who are quite more emotional than some women, but by design. So somebody has to take the lead. But on that, yes, but go ahead. So you believe that the man has to be the lead?
Yeah, in my own case, that in marriage, I think, right, I have the experience now. So practically, I can say that there are some things that the wife will want you to do, but will not tell you. It's left for you to discern those points, and but it gets to a stage whereby she just like, I expect you to do this, I expect you to do this. So you have to just connect the dots and, oh, okay, this is expectation. They might not be able to voice out their expectations every time, so that you don't tell them they nag. So they will just but they will just stylishly lead you to.
So are you saying women nag off?
Don't get me wrong. I don't know. But a lot of people might have different.
I'm not going home with him tonight. He's the one that will suffer the consequences of his statement. I wish your wife is not here. In fact, let's send her out of the room. Because now you are being cautious of your words. Yeah.
Actually, I'm talking freely because I'm from the scenario we've seen in our homes, and this is where.
You think women nag?
Of course they do.
Okay. The reason that may happen is that a lot of African women were groomed to raise children, right? It was a grooming thing, and if you have tried to raise children, you have to repeat. Like, you have to nag to you have to repeat it, because children, you say this now, is flung out of the window. So you have to be repetitive with your kids for them to get it. And unconsciously, I think some women, then do it to their husbands. And women are also, in African culture, already trained by their parent to nurture, to coach, to train. Unconsciously, many then unconsciously. And I try to coach and mentor their husbands. Don't you think that's what's going on?
Yeah, I do, but that's a wrong approach to train, to coach your husband. A guy has been with his parent for years, and you just got married, and you want to have it all right just in few days or weeks or months. You have to train your children and love your husband. With
that's deep. But isn't the Bible saying men are the one to love, women are to respect?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So. That's what the Bible says.
Or you are demanding that they should love?
No, in the aspect of when you talk about mentorship or mentoring or training their husband. No, okay, to groom a family, love your wife. Of course, you definitely receive the
honor.
The honor. But in the aspect of leadership, growth, training, you don't train the husband. Sometimes, even if the man senses that's what you're trying to do, it goes haywire. So just love him. Like, for example, I watched a woman. She was saying that because she wanted to correct your husband, because your husband is always flinging socks on the couch. So you're just like, no, you don't do this, you don't do this. Oh, come on, approach it lovely. Then train. If your son or your daughter does that, train him. It's not the same. So train your child, love your husband. Even in love, you correct. He gets it. But if you are trying to no, you scatter everywhere, that's what you did last week, and the same again, I'm tired. The guy will just walk out of you and you'll be alone.
Marriage lesson 101 from Oluwatooni. Okay, so yes, let's take your questions. So I've asked you many questions.
So let's start from there. I don't want to say I know this full answer, but how have you been able to? Because to be honest, my country's president doesn't travel the way you do. so
Are you sure?
Yeah,
President Buhari travels a lot too.
That officially the one we know anyways. Maybe media don't really say that.
No, but he travels a lot. It's because you are not in Nigeria. In fact, we
Really?
claim that he's the most traveled.
Yeah, so how do you now manage? Yeah, I know your wife, Amazon's your wife's like sister to me, and so I know a bit. But then, despite she's understanding, despite all that, your kids have this need of their daddy. I mean, dad and all that. So how do you now manage the company, the details today, and the marriage of a thing? Out there's no, like, you are staying too long. When are you coming and all that?
I think she asked my wife this. The kudos actually has to go to her because she's the one that has shown understanding and understood that, look, we're trying to build a global brand, and sacrifices has to be made. Of course, for the kids, I see, we still chatted yesterday. We always do video calls and stuff. But I think my wife is the one we should ask how she's been able to cope, because she's shown a lot of understanding, and that's how we've had to do. But really, when I look at it, most billionaires and wealthy people in the world are either divorced or they have understanding wife. It's either of the two. You can't eat your cake and have it. So it's either you're privileged to have a wife who just understood the demand of who you are and what you have to do.
So was she like this at your early stage of your entrepreneurship?
Not at all. If I remember when we first got married, because again, I didn't have a car, and I had my office was like 3 hours from the home, and so entering commercial, I could even take longer. I remember sometimes she could call me like 3-4 times before I go, where are you now? Where are you now? You don't need to just keep asking and asking and asking and asking. It's just too much for me. And I guess, and I'm happy I did that at the beginning of the marriage, because if I had gotten that so used to that pampering and all this together, it would have been difficult to adjust that.
You said at first she was like always checking on you to make sure, okay. But then this goes to the women. I want to a piece of advice to the women, like even if they've not really gotten the picture of where the man is going, but there should be a level of understanding that what the man needs maybe is your support and your understanding. Because this time you're talking about you were not as wealthy as this, and for her to start understanding that at the early stage, it goes a long way. And despite the fact she might not really get the picture then, but it knows that I believe in what is doing. And
well, I agree. I absolutely do. But I also feel that the challenge sometimes is when it's a lot of men did not explain to their wives or in the point of courtship and dating what exactly was the goal. Where am I going? My wife has always known I wanted to be a very successful entrepreneur. I've always dreamt to own multiple businesses. So the dream was very clear. So from day one, she kind of had an idea of who she was marrying. And I think that's very, very important, because a lot of times women are just almost forced to take whoever you're trying to evolve into, along the way. You didn't make it clear this who you're marrying. This, sometimes when men are in love, anything the woman says, you just say yes, 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 yes. Now only for you guys to get married. And I said no. I was like, but you didn't tell me all this when we were dating. It's like you've changed. So I think she was able to have that, and that helped as well. She has always known me to be very entrepreneurial.
Literally speaking, I've seen the growth. I mean, I know when the whole thing started with 4-point specialty and all that, I have trainings and all that. What can you relate your success to? Is it the risk? I know a lot of my friends will tell me, Akintayo, that guy, they take risk. The risk take but so now what can you relate to your success? Is it the risk you take on apologetically, or You just, is this daring or is it that this thing must work? There's something that pushing you.
Well, I agree with you that risk is there, and every entrepreneur is a risk taker. I think it's just one thing we can't do without. Well, you know, the whole concept of being an entrepreneur is taking risk. I mean, somebody walked in here and she's saying she wants to go to Nigeria. She's never been to Nigeria before. That's risk. You know, so for you to be a successful entrepreneur, risk has to be something you have.
Do you calculate your risk before you take them?
Yes and no. So how do I calculate my risk? I try to get a mentor or a partner in anything I'm trying to do. And I think how you know it's a what you call a rookie or amateur entrepreneur from a professional one is this. A professional entrepreneur is looking for a partner, is looking for a mentor, is looking for a guide. A rookie entrepreneur says, we're going to do it, you know, then that risk becomes arrogance. You know, I would do it, there's no big deal. That's pure arrogance, right? A very experienced entrepreneur will say, yes, we will do it, we'll take the risk, but can we get people who've done it before? Can we ask questions?
Right.
Can we get partners in those locations we're going to? And that's how to limit or calculate your risk, is actually being able to get insight. Because someone said that wise people learn from other people's mistake, fools learn from their own mistakes.
Fools learn from their Really? I don't even know how that sounds. So if I've actually learned from my mistakes, I'll do it.
Well, I didn't say so. I heard it too. But I think there's some sense in it, in the sense that particularly in the 21st century, there's so much information out there. Why must you repeat mistakes that most likely somebody else has done? And you could just go, why are we doing this podcast? Is to learn, is to review, is to share, so that you can say, oh, this guy has done this. And the same way, you can also learn from other people's successes and just execute and just have that leverage from day one. When COVID happened, one of the most amazing things that was a gift for me was a story of Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba, where he talked about when SARS, went viral in China years ago, and they had to do lockdown. The lockdown the rest of the world was experiencing, China had multiple lockdown like that in time past. And what he did, in fact, I think in their case, said like for almost 4 months or so, and he kept some of his staff in the office, and they, give them a mandate, and say if anything go wrong, if they need to lock somebody up, I'll take that responsibility. But we need to reinvent our company so that by the time we're coming out of that lockdown, we're a different company. And eBay had entered China and were trying to be a bigger competitor, to him. And they were able to evolve, what eventually made Alibaba what it is during that lockdown. So when I heard lockdown was coming in, I had to keep some of our staff in our office in Nigeria and say, we need to figure out this thing during this lockdown so that we will come out better. And that's what we did. After lockdown, we became one of the biggest real estate developer in Nigeria. Our growth was over 500%. When others ran down, when others had losses, struggling, we went way, way, way up. But that was me picking lesson from Jack Ma, applying it, and he still gave me the same result.
I would say in your book, there's this statement that you spoke about intentionality. That I actually picked that from you, that you need to be intentional. And to be honest, several times I've been wanting to be intentional about a few things, but there are constraints. Like because, for example, you might not have the resources you need even to be intentional. Intentionality is always putting actions, okay. But then, for example, I needed some money to run a business. The ideas are there, but the capital is not there. And I want to be intentional.
Beautiful. So, and I love that you broke it down. The concept of intentionality starts with vision, right? having a clear-cut vision. It doesn't even start with the action. Okay. Where am I going? I'll give you an example. When we moved there, the first day I think we moved in, and my wife visited me here because, prior to now I wasn't living in Dubai. And she said the first time she followed me, we came to Dubai on vacation, and we had this tour, visit to the top of Burj. And that I said that day, I couldn't even remember that one day I'll be living in Burj, right? I couldn't even remember, right? Now, that was many years ago. And when you look at where we were then, we obviously couldn't even afford to dream of even being in Burj. But there was a dream.
Was that a dream? Was it just a dream, or you knew?
It's a dream. It's a dream to say, hey, I mean, whatever it is that, those who live here don't have two heads.
Exactly.
Right? I want to experience that as well. So my point is that vision is the first step of being intentional. Right? Step 2 is then communicate it. So a lot of us have this vision. So you have this business idea. First thing is, where am I going? What's the vision? What's the dream? What's the business? The next thing is communicate. Start telling people, I'm going to start a business in this area very soon. What that does is that it attracts people, situation, circumstances that correlate with those statements to start coming near you. Because people gravitate towards people based on purpose, vision. What are you trying to do? So if you don't communicate it, if you don't tell, hey, this is what I'm about to do, then you will not attract people who can support you in achieving that. So right now we're about starting a 1,000 housing unit in Nigeria. I don't have the money, but the first step for me was I had the design. We now have the design. We have the land already. But the next step is to now go to media houses and start saying, hey, we have this 1,000 housing we're doing. We're going to be delivering it 3 years from now. We're starting construction 4 months from now. Anybody who is interested, talk to us. Do you see the point now? So what will happen is that 3 years from now, someone will say that guy is a genius. He has all the money in the world. Can you imagine 1,000 houses all built? Where did he get the money from? But it was just this intentionality we're saying. So step 1 is the vision. Step 2 is to start talking about it so that people who agree with those visions begin to line up, partners line up, contractors line up, investors line up, right? Is it making sense?
Yeah, sure, it is.
So for me, that is really how. Number 3 is take the baby step. I'm going to start number 3. There are a lot of other points, but let's stop there. Take a baby step, right? Baby steps is, okay, this is the location of where we're building these houses. Baby step is, yes, we're building 1,000, but can we complete 10 units in each of those locations, right, in a matter of 6 months, so that they become prototypes. You can even complete 1 unit only. So it become prototype for people to see, to say, hey, this is how your house will look like if you invest as well. So that's really how to be intentional.
Okay, that's awesome. There is this, I listened to a woman on the 103.8 FM. So she was talking about when you are trying to build something or be intentional or making some steps that think it's all, in the sense that, okay, what could go wrong? So in your own case, did you normally think about that, okay, eventually what could go wrong? Okay, maybe if this will work, okay, they work. Do you have that kind of sense that, okay, in our main language we say pata pata, no work. So what could
last everybody can chop breakfast.
Do you normally have that kind of sense, okay? Or if you do, isn't that a lazy thought, like what could go wrong? If it go wrong, no problem, no shaking until they happen like that.
No, I think you need to analyze what could go wrong and also analyze what's the worst case scenario.
Yes.
It's even how to empower yourself, because if I looked at it, what could go wrong? For example, I've looked at this, want to do 1,000 housing unit. What could go wrong is that we're not able to deliver at that level.
Okay.
But the point will then be, can we deliver to those who completed their payment? right? So as long as we're able to deliver to everyone who completes their payment, we're good to go, right? Those who didn't complete their payment, we'll communicate to them. Maybe we'll give them another extension. You know, can we get a mortgage for those who can't complete their payment, to then link them with a mortgage fund, right, that could help them pay while they then have an extended payment. Oh, what happened if the dollar to naira, the naira crashes? Oh, now we're pegging the amount to dollar. So it's the dollar amount. So anytime you're paying us, we're calculating it based on dollar pricing we initially have. So if it's $50,000, even if you paid, let's say 10 million, we'll calculate how much is it in naira at that rate. Then we say, hey, you've paid $5,000 out of your 50,000. So that way, we most likely will not have a fluctuation and variation in prices. So you should think of all that, you know, and then what's the possible solution, or, you know, and then you move on. Don't be powerless, you know, because analysis can lead to paralysis. So you should analyze, and the analysis should lead to what's the solution, what's the preventive action, and then you still move on. You know, but by all means, still go ahead and execute, because there's just no. And also remember that nobody's perfect. And mistake is not your personality. It's just, you know, it's an experience, but it doesn't define you. That you failed in a project once or twice, that's not your definition. That's not you. A lot of time we personalize failure. We take failure too personal, and we then define ourselves. I'm not a failure. That's not true. You made a mistake, move on. That's one of the reasons why even people around me, two things I always encourage them to do. Number one, learn to say no. Right? I always work on people around me to learn the culture of saying no to things. Be able to say no, right? Be able to say, can I get back to you? Be able to ask for an extension. You know, in our company, I give you query when you fail to meet a target. You know why? If you don't come back to say, can I get an extension? So the query, because sometimes I give you an assignment, I give you a deadline, and I know that most likely you won't be able to meet up that deadline. But I expect you that few hours to that deadline, you come back and say, I'm sorry, I may not be able to meet up, and I'm open to give you extension. But if you don't come back, now that's the crime. Another thing I try to train people around me to do is ability to say, I'm sorry. And what I'm trying to help them to do is to get used to knowing that it's okay to be sorry. It's okay to make mistake. But you see, if you don't love saying I'm sorry, you don't want to apologize, you don't want to admit you're wrong, then you will continue to create more wrongs than rights. Right?
Yes.
And it means you have a culture of personalizing failure. When you don't personalize failure, you realize that yes, it's a mistake I've made, yes, it's bad, but I need to apologize and move on. That's the real professional way to do it. We have to wrap up.
I think I have just two questions. Talking about intentionality. So, what do you believe in this phrase or something that says, keep doing something part time? Keep doing something part time. You always find yourself doing something. How do you link that with being intentional and also being consistent and disciplined? Which one would you choose first?
You can't be disciplined if you're not. You can't be consistent if you're not disciplined.
Okay.
Right. So, you know, consistency is a function of being
disciplined.
Absolutely. Doing something part time. There are times you should be quiet. There are times you should hibernate and think and review and analyze. So doing something part time depends on what exactly you're doing.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. But sometimes this thing you are doing is doing nothing. It's meditation. Okay. It's reviewing. It's analyzing. Because activity is not always equals productivity. So it's also one of the reasons why I love friends who are more of lifters around me. And I tell people the reason is because I will judge myself. Don't bother judge me. I've met people who want to become my judge. I'm like, I judge myself. I'm my own biggest critic, but I'm my own biggest fan. I know that you get that, right? So I'm always quick to praise myself for doing, but I'm also quick to judge myself to say that this wasn't right. Come on, what were you thinking? Right? So having that kind of balanced life, I strongly believe is what should happen. Not just that we must be doing something even when it may not make sense at all.
Oh,
Guys, thank you for being part of another beautiful Billionaire Habits with Dr. Stephen Akintayo, and I've had Oluwatooni Simbo, who is a great mentee of mine. So I'm having his wife. You want to come say hello? At least when you can show now. Come say. It's a standing wife.
yeah, exactly.
No. So that's the lady he's been talking about. Since he met her, his life has been great. I can attest to that. Bye-bye, guys.
Thank you.